ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरु वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सागणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्यतदिशतारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। नमो ब्राह्मण देवाय गो ब्राह्मण हिताय च जगद्हिताय कृष्णाय गोविंदाय ते नमः। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। वेलकम एवरीवन। You can all unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Okay. Yeah. So before starting, let's bear obeisances to Sri Sri Radha Govind and to Srila Prabhupada, taking their blessings. We'll proceed with today's chapter. So we have already covered the 4 sections. So today it is the final section, that is of the chapter 2, content of Gita summarized, or the Sankhya Yoga. So today we are going to cover the Sthita Prajna. So Arjuna wanted to know, like, what will be the how a person behaves, a person who is fixed in Krishna consciousness. So now in detail, Lord Krishna is going to explain in this section. Okay. These are the sections which we have already covered. So it initially started with Arjuna's surrender, right? So after he gives 5 reasons, and then Arjuna surrenders to the Lord. And then from there, Lord Krishna gives the Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga means he starts giving knowledge on the soul. soul and the quality of the soul and all that we saw in detail. After that, we saw the introduction to Karma Kanda section. No, like basically any Vedas usually deal with the Karma Kanda. So most of the maximum, like most of the Vedas, 90% it deals with the fruitive activity. And Krishna says that that is not of much use because that will only make us elevate to higher planet. But then again, once the results, I mean, whatever we have, the pious deeds, that karma, that credit is over, we have to come down again to this planet, right? And he so that was all about karma kanda section. So you have to, Krishna says that you have to traigunya vishaya veda nistraigunya bhavarjuna, right? He says nidvandvo nitva sattvasto niryoga kshema atmaman. He says that the Vedas deal with three modes of material nature, but you have to raise above that, that you have to come to transcendental, like become transcendental to these three modes. That is called as mode of goodness. One has to come to mode of goodness. Then he introduced to Buddhi Yoga. So what is Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? It is nothing but same. Okay. So basically it is working in devotion. So he says that you leave the result onto me. So then there is no sin. So then we saw, right? So when Neha Bikramanashosti Pratyavayona Vidyate Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahatobhayat. Means in this endeavor, there is no loss, like means in the devotional service. Even if you are, like Krishna says that don't think that you are committing sin by killing your family people or your teacher. So if you are fighting for me, that is for Krishna's order, then there is no sin. And also for a Kshatriya, it is a duty, as per even, because he's a Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and as per his Kshatriya Dharma, he cannot run away. And so he also says that either you have, if you lose, I mean, there is no loss. Like if you lose, you're in the war and you die, you will go to heavenly planet. Or if you win, the whole earth is yours. Means because whole earth belonged to one king that time. No, until Parikshit Maharaj, the whole continent belonged to one king. So he says you will be the king. So there is no, I mean, there is no rivalry. No, there is no rival also for him. So so what is their loss? So all those things we saw. So now in today's chapter, we'll see about the Sthita Prajna. Sthitadhir Muni. Arjuna Uvacha. Sthita Pragnasya ka bhasha. Samadhistasya Keshava. Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta. Kimasita vrajeta kim. Yes, Sarvagya. I find difficult to call your name. Yeah, can read. You want to read the translation, right? Or what? You have raised your hand. Sarvakya, you
Yes,
have raised
Mataji.
your
Hey,
hand.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk?"
Yeah. So basically, Prabhupada says that so every person has a symptom. So if we see in a society, if there is a rich person, he behaves in certain way, or a CEO of a company behaves in a certain way, right? And there is a commanding in his behavior. And when there is a person who is very poverty stricken, or his behavior is something different, or one, I mean, he'll be very humble, right? In a very humble position, he will have. So basically, every person has a behavior. So here Arjuna is asking, so what is the quality of a person? You have been explaining, because Krishna explained so many qualities of how one should be, right? I mean, in the shlokas, like we see, like in the shlokas, we can see in from 39 to 49. So there was nowhere about the fight. Krishna was only mainly focusing on the transcendental knowledge, right? So you have to work without bondage and no laws in this endeavor. Like you have to work in devotion, right? And vyavasayatmika buddhi. Vyavasayatmika buddhi hi ekeha kurunandana bahushaka hyanantascha Buddhayo Vyavasayinam Avyavasayinam. So the person who is in, I mean, who are on this path are resolute in purpose. Like there is no duality for them. So there is aim is one. So then, so he says, but then who is, so be fixed and then you fight, right? But Traigunya Vishaya Veda, then he speaks about all the Vedas become transcendental to three modes and Yavan Artha Udapane. So basically, there Krishna says that whatever the Vedas has to give, because the main purpose of Vedas is to elevate one to Krishna consciousness, the higher. So to understand, to know the Lord. But to come to that platform, so only that person can understand who know the purpose, right? The Vedas, actually the essence of Vedas is understood by person who knows the purpose behind it. And then we saw like karmanye vadikarasya, you have right to perform your only prescribed duty. Karmanye vadikaraste mapaleshu kadachana. You're not entitled to the phala. Phala means the fruits. Why? Because you are not the cause. Ma karma pala heturbu mate sangosya karmani. So because you are not the cause, and but that does not stop us from working. So all these things Krishna said. So here Arjuna basically is asking, like, why? What is the reason? Like, I mean, you have so many things. If a person is having those qualities, then how is that person behaving? You want to know basically if that yogi is like to fight, or he gives up the war and take up the devotional service, right? Indirectly he wants to know from Krishna. That is the reason he's asking here. So three things we see in this. The speech, kim prabhasheta, right? Kimasita, kim brajet. Kim brajet is the walk. So you can see sita pragnasya ka bhasha. How does he speak? Ka bhasha means how does he speak? So, and then Stidadi Kim Prabhasheta means how does he talk, right? Talk and speech both are same. And then Kim Asit. Kim Asit is how does he sit? And Kim Vrajeta is how does he walk? So Krishna answers them in these shlokas. So I will see. So symptoms of a Stita Prajna. Sorry. So we can see here, right? Prabhupada. So the symptoms, I mean, in the 55th shloka, it speaks about how does he reveal his position. I mean, basically, we can see the person who has transcended to three modes. Automatically, he is in the engaged in the devotional service, and he is like engaged completely in the Lord service. There is no duality there, and those are the symptoms of a pure devotee. And then speak. How does he speak? How does he react to action to others? So basically in society, how does he, when person speak to him pleasantly, how does he react? Or how, if a person is speaking to him harshly, how does he react? So basically that we see. And then sit. So it speaks about how a person is able to control his senses, or how is he withdrawing, and how does he react in the situation. And then engage in senses. Walk means, so engage his senses. So how does he move around in the world, right? The world brings us a lot of temptations, and in that, how is he controlling his senses and moving around in the world? So this is what we're going to see now. Yeah. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan atmanyevatmana tushtaha stita pragnastadochyate. The blessed Lord said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of sense desire which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So, what are we seeing here? So when a man gives up all varieties of sense desire which rise from mental concoction. So basically, all desires that we get in the material world, it is said as it is coming from our own mental concoction. Means we think that, I mean, we are always thinking that, okay, if I do this, I may get happiness. But when we actually perform that activity, or when we do that, then again the happiness keeps on changing. No, that, I mean, we won't get there. It is actually, it's just a mental concoction, because Krishna has already told that this material world is made in such a way, it is always, there is a happiness and distress. Nothing is permanent. Matra spashastu kaunteya shitoshna dukha sukha dukkha. No? Agama payino nitya tam stitikshasva bharata. So always there is a, this happiness and distress is coming like a seasons. So one has to tolerate. But then we think that, no, this, if I do this, I may get happiness. So we are always behind that. But unless a person, so here it is said, when a person is Atman evatmana tushtaha, when he is a self-satisfied, means transcendentally situated. That means the person, he knows what is his real position as a soul. So what is the dharma of a soul? Does anyone know what is the dharma of a soul? What is the dharma
To
of a
serve the
soul?
Lord.
Everything.
To
Huh?
serve the Lord.
What is it?
To serve the Lord, Mataji.
Yeah, yes, that is the real position, no? To serve the Lord. But then now we have forgot. Just like everything, like a sugar has its dharma, is what? Sweet. Sugar is basically sweet. That is the dharma of a sugar. The salt is salty, like that. So even a soul has a dharma. That is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivere Swarupa hoy Krishnera Nitya Das. So we are actually eternally servant of Lord, and we are part and parcel. Krishna also says, no, we are part and parcel of the Lord, but that we have forgotten now. So the person who is already in, situated transcendentally, so he is come out of those dualities, right? So there is no ichha dvesha, I mean, there is no duality in desire or in hate. So both comes because of this duality. The desire and the hate, both are not good, right? Desiring for materialistic thing or hating it also. So he is normal for both. He's the person is transcendental to these two things. So such a person is said to be uh, in the transcendental mode. So basically, um, one who is controlling the senses, such person is called as um, uh, what is that? Um, Goswami. Yeah, Goswami. And the one who is under the control of senses is called as Godasa, right? So when a person is transcendentally situated, then he knows how to control his. I think further in shlokas we'll see that. So once Prabhupada, uh, actually when Prabhupada made lot of fame, and he constructed lot of temples in West, and he had lot of money, right? But then Prabhupada never had his own bank account. He never was attached to any of this materialistic things. Though he got so much of riches, he was having very simple life. And when he comes back to India, his son, right? One of his son, he approached him for money, because Prabhupada was very rich that time, and he said that they were having some problem, and he wanted some money. And then Prabhupada says, please ask my manager, right? He's one of his disciple. He says that you ask him, because I don't have anything in my account. So they only decide. So when he goes there, and when he asks, and that person says that, okay, your father does not have any money. It all belongs to Krishna. So Prabhupada is smiling, right? So Prabhupada was not at all attached to any whatever he had made so much of um money, and he was like millionaire, no? He went with 40 rupees, but he made 40 crore in just a span of 10 years. So so Prabhupada never had such attachment, because he never worked for sense gratification. His goal was never to do sense gratification. He only wanted to have, he had, I mean, all those money were used in service of Krishna, right? So this we can see. So this, who is this one? Anyone knows who is this? Yeah, you can just unmute. Yeah, it's Prahlad Maharaj. So so much of test he's been through. No, his father made him. He tried to kill him in different ways, because he had put in fire also, but then he was not at all disturbed by anything, because he was transcendentally situated. He was always remembering the Lord, and nothing could happen to him. And this is Prabhupada. Prabhupada, this is in Radha Damodar temple and in Vrindavan. Like 15 years Prabhupada was there. So after he had taken sannyas, and so before he went to West, so there only he got inspiration also when he was looking towards Rupa Goswami Samadhi, and there he gets into instructions again, he has to go to West and he has to preach the Krishna consciousness to the West. So actually Prabhupada could have had a very nice life in Vrindavan, but then he took that risk to go to West, because he was not at all attached to that happiness which he was having in Vrindavan, because his main goal was to deliver the conditioned soul, right? So that is why the purpose was much higher. He was not looking for his happiness. So that was the symptoms of a pure devotee who is transcendentally situated. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, you want to read the shloka also, Sarvagya? Or
No,
only
Mataji.
Okay.
Translation only.
Okay. Dukkeshanudvignamanaha sukeshu vigataspruhaha vitaragabhayakrodaha sitadirmuniruchyate.
One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of a steady mind.
Yeah. So what is this threefold miseries? Anyone knows? Threefold miseries. Prabhupada speak about this threefold miseries, because there are primary miseries and secondary miseries, right, in material world. So what is the primary miseries? What is the primary miseries? Yes.
Age and disease.
Yeah, birth, death.
Janma mrityu jara vyadhi.
Yeah, Janma Mrityu Jaravadi. That is primary. And what are the secondary miseries?
Sorry, Mataji.
Threefold miseries.
Birth, death, and which is the third one? Old age.
Yeah, old age disease.
Okay. Thank you.
Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Birth, death, old age, and disease. These four things, I mean, whoever comes to the science is not able to find solution for this, no? Whatever advancement we are making, but nobody can avoid the birth or death, the old age, and disease. Everyone has to go through this. So nobody can escape. So these are the primary misery whoever comes to this material world has to go through. And what are the secondary miseries? There are the secondary miseries. Yes? No one knows? Sarvagya, you know?
Secondary miseries are created by our own actions.
Yeah, so one is that Adhyatma, what you said, it comes in Adhyatma Klesha, Adhyatmika Klesha. So there are three, that is Adhyatmika Klesha, Adi Bhautika Klesha, and Adi Daivika Klesha. So Adhyatmika Klesha means the misery is coming because of my own body and mind, right? My mind is also many times it is agitated, or it gives me a problem, right? It is disturbed when somebody says something, or we are not happy. I mean, there are a lot of things, negativity coming in our mind. So because of our own body, and body get disease. So body and mind, that is called Adhyatmika Klesha. Adi Bhautika Klesha, the second one. So the misery is coming from the other living entities. It could be other people or animals, or right, even like we get this corona, that is coming from a virus, so that is also comes under Adi Bhautika, or somebody else is troubling us, troubling you in the life, so that everything comes under Adi Bhautika. And then the third one, Adhyatmika. So the miseries, this is given by the demigods. So they created. So like we have the earthquake, or we have tsunami, like these things, right? So volcanic eruptions and all these things, natural calamities that we have, these come under Adi Devika. Is there anything apart from this? Only these things. These are the problems that we have this in material world. One is the primary, the other is secondary. So here it is said, the person is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries. Like he is not disturbed when there is a adhyatmika klesha. His own mind is not harassing him, because mind is one's own enemy and it can be its friend. No, in sixth chapter we say that Krishna says. So his mind is not disturbing, and bodily also is not getting disturbed, even if it is diseased also. I mean, we have seen like even Prabhupada, when he was on his deathbed, still until last minute he was dictating Bhagavatam, right? So that was his consciousness. I mean, doctor was surprised. Doctor, when he checked his pulse, he was not able to understand how is Prabhupada able to even give the translation that was so accurate. So they are not in that platform. He's not in the bodily platform. So mind and body is not troubling him, and any other living entity also. So the people, I mean, Prabhupada faced so much of, challenges. I mean, it's not that his journey was very smooth. Even after going to West, like initially he didn't have a place to live. So, and even after that, for while taking many temples, there were a lot of people who tried to cheat. I mean, took money, and so many problems he went through. But then always his devotees never saw, the disciples never saw him getting disturbed. Those material things never disturbed him. I mean, again, Prabhupada would, his class would be as usual. That would not affect Prabhupada's consciousness. I mean, whatever happened also, he would take class, and his behavior with the disciples would be very normal, right? That would not disturb him. So Adi Bhautika, Adi, and then Adi Daivika Klesha. Actually, even the demigods, even the Maya Devi also, she'll not test much the devotees, right? The problems, it is said, like the people who are in the mode of passion and ignorance will have more challenges and more problems. They'll have, but once you come to mode of goodness, the harassment of the mind is also less, right? Because the person is not engaged in any sinful activities, and so he is not much disturbed. He is almost peaceful and calm. So this is a saying. This is what is said in this shloka, that any dukkha and sukha, the person is in the is having a proper study of mind. So free from attachment, fear, and anger. So one why this attachment is also coming, because of contemplation of the object, right? We see that in the coming shlokas, basically how the attachment comes. And when something is not, when attachment is there, when you get that thing in life, then there is always fear of losing it. When we become attached to something, and when we always have the fear of losing. And when something is not fulfilled, when the desire is not fulfilled, then the anger comes. So all these are impurities of mind. So the studies, the sage, the Stitadir Muni, means he is not averse to any raga, bhaya, and krodha. Yes, sarvatra nabhisnehaha tattat prapya shubhashubham Nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratishtita.
In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, it is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge.
Yeah. So all these qualities actually not for us, right? It is all a person who is already in transcendental platform. So only we can take inspiration, and we can try to imbibe those qualities, and we can learn from them. Actually, we can't. It says we can't follow exactly what they're doing. Like we can't imitate or to become that, like what Prabhupada is or the devotees who are in that platform. But then we can take learning from that, right? Like for example, if Prabhupada is sleeping only for 2 or 3 years a night, and all that night he is sitting and doing the translation work, we can't imitate that. We are not in that platform. But for us, Prabhupada says, 6 hours sleep is enough. So otherwise, we will not be able to do our sadhana, and we don't have time for sadhana. People say they don't have time for sadhana because the planning is not done properly. No, so we can't imitate them, but obviously we can take inspiration here. So in material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising or nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So if one has to be in that situation, then how he should be in this material world? He should be like a lotus leaf untouched by water. No? Padma patram ivam basa, Krishna says. So only when a person is not very much attached in that way, in detached way, if he is working, then only he cannot be he can be in that platform. Like he never get anger, or he never if somebody is praising, we feel so happy, and if somebody is not giving us respect, and then we feel very bad, because all this happens because of the false ego, right? So once Buddha, right, Lord Buddha, there was a scholar, a Sanskrit scholar in the village, and he was very proud of his knowledge. And once he comes to know that there is a Buddha is going to give a sermon there in the village, and when he comes to know, everybody are leaving, and he on the way he sees that everybody are leaving the work and going to join the sermon there, what Buddha was going to give. So he became very jealous, and he thought that, okay, I want to go and blaspheme now Buddha. So he goes there, and what does he do? He starts using, all bad words, and he starts to blaspheme him. Lord Buddha was very silent. He didn't react. So after everything is done, and then this person asks, okay, now I have been blaspheming you, and I'm shouting on you from long time, but you are not reacting, right? So what is the reason? Then he says that, okay, so he asked him, okay, if you go to your some friend house, okay, they offer you to eat something, some sweet they give you. You go to their house and they give you some sweet. So it is up to you whether you accept that sweet or not, right? So now you have given me, I am your guest, you have given me, but what will you do? Like if they don't accept, what will we do? We only eat, right? So similarly, he gives him that. Then he understood the essence. He felt very ashamed. Basically, he didn't take it to him. Only when will he react? Only if you take that, na. When I'm not taking that, whatever you are telling, I'm not accepting that, or so then there is no reaction. He says that I have not accepted whatever you told. It is you only. Please take it, because I'm not accepting whatever you have given. You take back. So in that way, I just remember this, because whatever happens, they are not unaffected. Yada samharate chayam kurmonganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita.
One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the cell, uh, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness.
Yeah. So basically, the tortoise can, whenever it wants, it can spread its limbs, and whenever it wants to withdraw, it can do it, right? So similarly, the analogy is given here is, the person can use, should have, he should be using the senses only when it is required. Otherwise, no, like not for sense gratification. So basically, it is said in Shastras that the senses are attracted to sense objects, and then the misery starts. It is said like that. So Chanakya Pandit says that senses are venomous serpent. He compares the senses to venomous serpent. So it is like a person living in a house of 6 venomous serpent. That is that 5 senses, and then including mind, it becomes 6. No, Krishna includes the mind also in the senses. So these senses, if they are not in control, it is just like a living in a house of snake. That means death is certain, right? When there is a poisonous snakes all over, and then it is not controlled, what will happen? The death is certain. So similarly, if we are not controlling our senses, then it is going to destroy us, right? So Prabhupada says that a devotee of a Lord is like a snake charmer. No, I mean, he knows exactly how to control his senses. Know how the snake charmer controls the snake, and he knows how to control his senses. So Arjuna is Krishna is saying that here you are not supposed to satisfy your senses. He has to actually get up and fight. Basically, he don't want to fight because he does not get pleasure. No, it is not for that. But then not for his own pleasure. He has to fight for the Lord, right? And Prabhupada says, when a person is following the 4 regulative principles, right, then doing the chanting and these things, automatically he is able to control the senses. No, it is said, Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jivva vegam, udaropasta vegam, etan veganyo vishaheta diraha, sarvan apimam prithvimsa shishyat. So there are, if a person is able to control the speech, urge of speech, vacho vegam, udaropasta vegam, vacho vegam, udaropasta vegam, urge of the belly, right? Urge of belly, urge of speech, and urge of mind, manasa krodha vegam. He can control his anger, and then the genitals, and it is said. So if these urges, if the person is able to control, he can make disciples all over the world. So the control of senses is much needed if we have to advance in spiritual life. So, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate.
Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness.
Yeah. So, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha. So basically, when a person is said not to enjoy the sense enjoyment, it is, I mean, automatically, if we have to do the restriction of senses is not easy. Like in Ashtanga Yoga and all, the yogi tries to control, senses. That is not recommended. In Krishna consciousness, how do we say? It is not about restricting. It is basically engaging in the using the senses in the service of Lord. So then what happens? When the higher taste is developed, so when we don't know the higher taste, we think that that is the good one, but because we have not tasted the higher thing in life. So when we start getting the taste, I mean, in the Navavidha Bhakti also, right? When a person starts with the Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, what is that? Nishta, and then Ruchi. So that Ruchi will come. When a person develops a taste, then obviously these things will become very puny. So they don't matter much. So he loses taste in them, basically, right? So Prabhupada gives an analogy like when a person is deceased, doctor says not, I mean, his restriction is there on the food item. He is not supposed to have oil food or spicy, like that doctor will suggest. So, but then it is still his mind is there on that, because only it is temporary. He may lose the taste, but obviously when he gets back, he recovers. That craving is there for eating back those food. No, so similarly, the person who is trying to engage his senses in transcendental subject, right? then he's diverting the senses from sense enjoyment to service of Lord. Obviously, the taste remains, but then slowly he get purified, right? So that is what it is said here. So how does he sit, withdraw senses from sense objects? So there's an embodied soul. So he restricted from sense enjoyment. And taste for sense object remains. And then we can see here. So basically this is, who is this in picture? Anyone knows? Vishwamitra, right? Muni. Because he tried to control his senses. So this is not easy, because even after so many tapas of so many thousands of years, but then very soon he got agitated. So this is very difficult to control on own individual. Same thing happened with Shaubari Muni, right? He was meditating in the underwater, and there he sees two fishes together, and then he feels that he has to get married, and immediately he get the desire, and he goes to a king, and he asks his daughters. So that and then we know, like, he then later marries all the 50 daughters. So then he has family and all. After very late, after many years, he realized that he did a mistake. So obviously, so controlling by our own individual is very difficult. But then we can see here, when a devotee is engaged in service of the Lord, automatically senses are engaged. So restriction of senses is not for this Kali Yuga. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramatini haranti prasabam manaha.
The senses are so strong and impetus, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them.
Yeah. So this is very important shloka, right? So Krishna is saying that even a man of discrimination, he also loses to his senses. So basically, the person knows what is right and what is wrong, but the senses are so strong that he is forced to do, right? So the function of the mind is thinking, feeling, willing. So function of intelligence is discrimination, to know what is right, what is wrong. So basically, we have to, work on our intelligence. So how do we nourish our intelligence? By reading the Shastras, right? So by getting those knowledge, then a person can become strong, and then he knows exactly, there is no duality. He knows that what is right and what is wrong. The discrimination is there. Otherwise, what will happen? We may become slave to our senses. So Namanishra Prabhuji says that we know that when a person is advancing in spiritual life, the discrimination is very strong. It's very clear. He is very clear. If he's following 4 regulative principles, or if there is there should not be intoxication, there should not be non-veg. So he is very clear, and he will not have it, because he has understood what is the reason behind it, right? Or we will not be able to understand the transcendental knowledge also if we are continuing to do those, right? So how does he? I think this is. So senses are very strong and impetus, forcefully carry away mind of man trying to control them. See, here we can see in this example how a person, here we have a Durvasa Muni, right? He was a great saint, mystic. He had a power to go to Vaikuntha Loka also, but then he was not able to control his anger. No? He was not able to. But then we see the devotee of the Lord, Amrish Maharaj, he was able to control his. He was not getting agitated, because he has surrendered his senses, all his senses to Lord. So there is a Shloka in Bhagavatam which comes. Sorry, where is that? Savai mana Krishna padaravindayo vachamsi vaikunta gunanuvarnane karaur harer mandiramarjanadishu shrutim cha karachyuta satkat katodaya mukundalingaya darshane adrishav tadbritya gatra sparshenga sangamam granam cha tatpada saroja saurabhe श्रीमत् तुलस्यारसनं तदर्पिते पादौ हरेर् क्षेत्र पदानुसर्पणे शिरो ऋषिकेश पदाभिवन्दने कामं च दास्येन तु कामकामया यतोत्तमा श्लोक जनाश्रया रतिः. So he says, King Amrisha, actually King Amrish Maharaj used all his senses in service of Lord. That is explained how he used. So fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord. His hands he used in the cleansing of the temple of the Lord, ears in hearing the pastime of the Lord, eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulsi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to holy place where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a Matpara devotee of the Lord. Actually, he was a king, Kshatriya king, and he was ruling kingdom. But he was completely detached in the sense he was doing like a obligatory duty, right? Disinterested obligatory duty, Prabhupada says. Like you have to do whatever is required in the material world, that he was doing, but his mind was completely in the meditation, I mean in the thoughts of the Lord. So that is why he was able to control his senses. So withdrawing senses forcibly is not possible. We saw the example of sage Vishwamitra and Shaurabha Muni, but then Amrish Maharaj, he was able to control. And Prabhupada gives an example in the purport of Saint Yamunacharya. So he was in his prayer he says that he spits at the thought when if he feels like to enjoy with a woman. So he says that he spits at the thought that he should not. I mean, even at the thought he says that should not come to his mind, right? So those are the pure devotees, right? Okay. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashe hi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita.
One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of a steady intelligence.
Yeah. So Amrish Maharaj we just saw, right? Who is using all the senses in the fixing the consciousness upon Krishna. So symptoms of Sthita Prajna. So he restrains his senses and constantly engages in the service of Lord. So we can see here Prabhupada, he used to, like early morning, he used to go for a walk and meet all the people, and he used to give the Krishna consciousness there wherever he was, right? Early morning, and he used to do the, he used to do the kirtan, and he used to complete his japa, and then he used to cook also. He only used to cook for his disciples when he was in West for almost some 6 months. He never had any help also. Prabhupada used to do everything himself. And how he engaged all his senses, we can see, right? So this is called as man of steady intelligence. So it is said, when we take up devotional service, it is just like a forest fire. The forest fire, when there is a when there is a forest fire, so immediately the snakes are the one which will be caught, right? That the other animals will be they will escape. The snake cannot, they will burn and die. So similarly, so these sinful reactions are is burned off when one take up the devotional service, it is said. So this is not for the like devotees who are already in transcendental plane, because Prabhupada and all, they are already in, he's transited into the three modes of material nature. But for us, yes, we can purify ourselves and we can control our senses if we take up to the devotional service. No? Because Krishna is there as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and he can burn away all the impurities. Okay. Dhyayato vishayan pumsah sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bijayate. I'll read one more also. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha sammoha smriti vibramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati.
While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises.
Yeah, next one. Sorry. Yeah.
From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool.
Yeah. So we can understand this with this. Okay. So anyone is able to explain this? How does it start? From where does it start? Can you explain this briefly? Anyone can explain?
Mataji, from objects.
Yeah, Santosh Prabhu. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
From objects of senses, the
Yeah.
attachment to.
So what is that
towards the-
actually? Object of senses means what? What is happening there?
Yeah, I'll take an example of man and woman by
Huh?
seeing the opposite sexes. Normally, happens. So
Yeah.
from
So
there,
contemplation, right? Contemplation,
Yeah.
basically. Contemplating
Contemplation.
on sense object. So thinking
Yeah.
about that, what will happen? You develop attachment. And then?
Lust happens. That is
Yeah.
calm.
Calm. Lust develops.
Yeah.
And lust lead to?
Lust leads to anger because of
When
not
lust
fulfilling.
is not fulfilled, it becomes anger. And when lust is fulfilled, what will happen? It will become greed.
Greed.
Yeah. It becomes greed. Na? He wants more. So lust, if it is fulfilled, it becomes greed. And lust, it not fulfilled, it becomes anger. And then?
And from anger, the delusion happens, where he will be bewildered. He will be confused
Yeah.
of what is.
Yeah.
And he
So
loses-
delusion, he don't know what is right and wrong. No, he's in a confusion stage. And then bewilderment of memory. So that leads to?
the loss of his intelligence, and totally he'll be fallen back into the material world again.
Yeah. So yes. So we have seen that case of Ajamila, no? The story of Ajamila. We remember. So what happened? He thought like, once I will see what is happening. No, he was actually very pious. He belonged to a very pious family, and also he was also pious only. So he went to get some flowers, which his father asked to get. I mean, he went to forest, and then he sees that a Shudra, he was like with a prostitute. And by that, he starts thinking, then he start contemplating. He just sees them laughing and they were embracing. And by seeing that, he feels like, oh, if such a person can have a prostitute, I mean, she was beautiful. So why can't I? I mean, I am more qualified. So he was thinking, and then he developed attachment. And that's how he then marries her, and then he does all kind of nonsense things. No, he actually he starts stealing. He also did he murdered, all kind of things. He was involved, and finally, I mean, Prabhupada writes a book on that, Second Chance. only he got the second chance, but not everybody will get like that. Because at the time of dying, I mean, somehow Krishna gave him the remembrance to keep his son's name as Narayana. And because he remembered and he could remember the Lord, so all the Vishnu Dutas come at the time of dying, and I mean, the Yamadutas could not take him away, and somehow he got saved. So that happens. But then all this fall down happened because of attachment to the sense object. So, but when a mind is fixed in Lord, so this cannot happen. The example we have of Haridas Thakur, right? When Haridas Thakur was chanting the holy name of the Lord, even the prostitute, she was very beautiful. When she came, she could not do. I mean, he was not at all disturbed. I mean, by seeing the beautiful women. So that is why it is said Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dena. No, initially it may be difficult for us to concentrate our mind, distract our mind from material thing and concentrate on Krishna. But then Rasavarjam Rasopyasya Param Društva Nivartate. Param, something higher. When we start giving our mind something higher, it start getting the taste there gradually, right? That's how it develops. Whatever you give the mind, we cannot blame anything. I mean, everything happens because of our mind. However, wherever you are engage your mind, that is what it will give. Mind, we can't blame the mind. Whatever you are feeding the mind, that is only is coming as an output, right? So, and one more, once when these foreigners, right? Foreigners first time when they came, the Westerners, they wanted to, they brought this tea. How this tea addiction came to Indians? Initially, we didn't have this tea at all. People were only using the cow's milk, right? But they made us addicted. How did they addict? Initially, they brought a free truck. I mean, they gave it everyone free without no money. So they wanted to develop a taste. So initially, that is how all these other things also people get addicted, no? Little. How do the children get addicted to smoking or intoxication, drugs, alcohol, and all these things? Because initially they just try little, nothing will happen, and slowly the taste develop and they get attached to it, and then it becomes addiction. So similarly, this tea also they started giving for free, and slowly they started giving 5 paisa. They started, and then 10 paisa, and that's how then people get addicted to that taste. Now we can't live, right? So that is what. So it is very dangerous. It can be, I mean, any situation we can apply this, not just with relationship or anything. So when there is a contemplation on object, if it is too much we are contemplating on something, that will go to attachment. So same thing we can do for Krishna here, no? So then it will be, then there is no fall down. So yeah. Ragadvesha vimuktais-tu vishayan indriyais-charan atma. Okay, somebody said I can chant. Sorry, I didn't see. Yes, Prabhu, you can chant. Yes, Santosh Kumar Mishra, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Okay. Ragadvesha vimuktais-tu vishayan indriyais-charan atmavashye vidheyatma prasadam-adhigacchati.
But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord.
Yeah. So is free from attachment and aversion. So there is no aversion also, or there is no attachment also, because he is completely dependent on the Lord. No, Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rake ke. So then what happens? So whatever happens in life, he thinks that to be the plan of Krishna. So then he is not but much agitated by the senses. So such person can obtain the mercy of Lord. For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. And even in 10 chapters, Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam vajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. So whoever is engaged in devotional service, Krishna says that I will remove the ignorance and I will give the necessary intelligence to them. So how they can come to me. So basically, when we are surrendered to Lord, so Krishna will give us that intelligence and we will not be no more disturbed by these threefold miseries. One who is not connected with Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind. So there is no Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi who is not taking into Krishna consciousness, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? So, Indriyanam hi charatam Yanmano nu vidiyate tadasya harati pragnam vayurnavamimam basi. A boat from there.
As a boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence.
Yeah. Therefore, O mighty armed one, whose senses are restrained from this object, is certainly of steady intelligence. So, so what is the analogy given here? So when there is a strong wind, the boat, it's swept away, right? So similarly, when our senses are engaged, if a mind is too much attached in a sense object, then the intelligence is carried away. That man's intelligence is carried away. So again, it shows that we have to, work on our intelligence. So intelligence means spiritual intelligence, not the material intelligence. Because material intelligence, even there are people who are very highly qualified or right in materially, they have achieved so much, but then still they are harassed by the threefold miseries. So spiritual intelligence here it is spoken about. Krishna is speaking about. And also mind, how can we keep our mind like calm and so mind should never be kept, some work has to be always given, some constructive work should be there. Said na, idle mind is devil's workshop. So if there is no work, then mind will make us, it is very stubborn and it troubles us or it harasses us. So one should engage in constructive work, or right. So there's a once there was a genie, right? One person gets a genie, right? When you do that, he gets a uh, the genie will do anything you ask for. You know that, right? There's a story. So whatever you tell, that genie will go and do that. So he like continuously you should give, otherwise he will kill the boy. So the boy was thinking what to do. Like he's not able to continuously what work can be given. He's giving and he's doing that and he's coming and give me next work. Otherwise I'll eat you. So then he gives him a work that he tells that there is one stick. So you have to climb that stick on the top, and when you reach the top, you have to come to end. So keep doing that. So he kept him engaged like that. So similarly, the mind continuously we have to give something to it to do it. Otherwise, it will focus. The focus will not be there. So if we are not giving a proper engagement for our mind, right, then it will disturb us. Yeah. So living entity, one of the roaming senses, right, on which the mind is focusing can carry away the man's intelligence. Senses are restrained from sense object through steady intelligence. And this has to be done by practiced under a bona fide spiritual master called as sadhaka, candidate for liberation. So engage in service of Lord, then the senses are controlled. या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जागर्ति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः.
What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled. And the time of awakening for all beings, beings is night for the introspective sage.
Yeah. So what is night for all being is the time of awakening for. So basically, here two kind of people we can see, right? So one is a materialist and one is a spiritualist. So their activity or the interest area of interest is different, right? The person and because he may think, I mean, materialistic person will never be able to understand what the devotees are doing. I mean, he may feel like they're simply wasting time or chanting, but they don't know what exactly, right? So they don't know the value of it. They think that they're simply reading and chanting for hours together and doing kirtan. It's all waste of time. So so it is like the for a materialistic person, he's asleep to self-realization. But then where is he attracted towards? He's attracted towards the sense object, sense pleasure. So we know, right? The early morning, the 4 o'clock, if you get up for aarti and if you have to chanting, that time whole, I mean, most of the population, they'll be sleeping. No? I mean, when they are awake, we sleep early, or the devotees, they sleep early in the, because usually in the temples, they sleep at 9 and get up at 3 in the morning. No? So and the basically here it is not just about morning or night. It is basically the thought process, the happiness that one seek in the material object and the person in the materialistic platform. But a spiritualist is seeking in the in engaging his mind in service of Lord. So uh, Prahlad Maharaj also tells his father that Puna Charvita Charvanam. And Puna Charvita Charvanam means chewing the chew. So he says that people are engaged in, I mean, so many times for years, millions of years, we have taken lower species and we have done the sense enjoyment. But still, again, after getting even human life, we are only interested in sense enjoyment. So that is a materialistic. So they will not understand what is the purpose of reading shastras or why one should spend so much time in chanting this thing. So that is what is said in this shloka, right? I mean, people argue also like, okay, I also do bhakti 5 minutes in the morning, right? That is called bhakti. Activities of a materialist and yeah, two classes we can see. Materialistic activities for sense gratification and activities are based on material sense gratification. So for an introspective sage, for cultivation of self-realization, activities for are for spiritual advancement, not disturbed by demands of senses. आपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमापा प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तावत् कामायां प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति.
A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
Yeah. So what is said here? So the analogy Prabhupada gives here. So when many rivers come and join the ocean, right? So still the ocean is not disturbed. It does not overflow or anything. It just remains at peace. So similarly, how much ever desire, I mean, it cannot be desireless even for it. It can flow. The thoughts can come to even for a devotee, but then he will not get disturbed because he is Krishna, right? He is because he is in his fullness. So all his needs, whatever Prabhupada says, the Krishna will take care of the material needs also of a devotee when he is constantly engaged in the service of Lord, right? And it is said that all the other, even not just materialistic people, not the karmi, even the everyone, the siddhis, kamis, right? Bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakale ashanti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one who is desiring about fruitive activities, or one who is desiring for liberation, that mukti, right? So siddhi, I mean, who wants a mystic power. All these people have desires. When any desire, if somebody is having, then he can never be happy. Only Krishna Bhakta eva shanta, Krishna Bhakta eva nishkama ateva shanta, means he is not having sense gratification. That is why he is always peaceful. And a person who has given up all desire for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid in false ego. See, this proprietorship and false ego are interconnected. When we are in false ego, right? Then that proprietorship is there. I have done this. Me mameti, Prabhupada says. Me mameti means mine, me and mine. So we are very much attached. Whatever work we do, we think that I am the doer, I am the responsible for it. But if we understand nothing can happen without Krishna's approval, so then that false proprietorship is not there. So then only a person is able to attain peace. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surudam sarva bhutanam gnatva mam shanti mrichati. So when we understand that Krishna is the enjoyer, currently we think that we are enjoyer. That is the problem, no? So Krishna is the enjoyer, and Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, he is the controller of entire universe. I mean the spiritual and material world. Surudam, and he is a well-wisher friend of all the living entities. When we understand, so that is a real peace formula which Prabhupada says. So this should be the peace formula. And yeah. The last shloka. Esha brahmi sthitif partha nainam prapya vimuhyati stitva syam antakalepi brahma nirvanam richati.
That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated in even at the hour of death, one can enter into kingdom of God.
Yeah. So Esha brahmi sthitif partha. So now Krishna explained about the brahmi sthiti, how a person is situated in transcendental mode. No? So such person, he's talking about that person. So after, I mean, he will never get bewildered. One who is situated in that platform. So, and there was a king called Katvang Maharaj. So when he in a minute, I mean, it does not take a many years to attain God. I mean, to become perfect, perfection can be achieved in a minute. For that example is Katvang Maharaj. So he had helped some devatas, and for that devatas ask him like, what is that boon you want? We can give you anything you want, right? And then he says that I want to know how much time I have before I die. Then they say that you just have 1 minute left. And then he says, okay, then immediately I want to go to earth. And he has to start taking the devotional service. He surrenders Lord and he prays. And it is said he immediately attained the perfection of life. So Nainam, so Nirvanam Richati, Brahma Nirvanam Richati. Nirvanam means, Prabhupada explains, it is ending of the materialistic life, ending the materialistic life. Like Parikshit Maharaj, when he know that he had only 7 days to live, right? He leaves all his material opulences, his kingdom, his subjects, his family, children, everyone, right? He knows that 7 days he's having to live, and completely he surrenders to Krishna. And Prabhupada says that it is not that as per materialistic people, there is no enjoyment. Actually, the life of a devotee starts after the death also, because he is, I mean, who is in after completing of this life, it does not stop there. No, the soul goes to the spiritual world, right? So so I mean, if I mean, even in this life, one can be like free from the material. Like when there is no materialistic desire, that itself is liberation. Not really required that one has to go to a kingdom of God, but then even being here also, they can be in a liberated stage, right? Yeah. So yeah. So this Prabhupada says that all this in this chapter 2 almost covers all the topics of jnana, the karma, jnana, and bhakti. That is why this chapter name Bhakti Vinod Thakur gave it as contents of Gita summarized, right? In so with the okay, I have not shared the attendance link. Okay, I'll share. Yeah. With this, we come to the end of the class. I will, please don't leave. I will share the attendance link. Please mark the attendance, okay? Just give me a second. So these are the sections we covered. So Arjuna's further doubts and his surrender. Jnana fight, there is no death for the soul. And then Karma Kanda, give up fruitive activities, right? And Buddhi Yoga, Nishkama Karma, fight but without any reaction. And then the qualities of a Sthita Dhir Muni, Sthita Prajna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Let me check the link. Just give me 2 seconds.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Just give me a second. Okay, any doubts in today's session? Meantime, you can ask. I will check the attendance link. Was it clear or was it confusing, Hare Krishna? Were you able to understand or was it confusing?
Hare Krishna Mataji, it was very clear, very good class. Thank you.
Okay, understood. Okay. 1 second, I'm just checking for the link. Okay. Okay, I posted. Thanks. Just see if it is working.
Yes, Mataji, it is good.
It's working? Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, any questions? You may ask. Okay, please mark your attendance. Okay, Matpara. Matpara means unto Krishna. And Krishna, where is it there? Which is the shloka? Shloka number
Mataji,
can
the
tell.
attendance is showing invalid. Mataji.
Is it?
Yes, Mataji. I have just entered, but it is showing invalid.
1 second.
Mataji, try again. I just completed the form. Probably you could retry.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
even I
opening.
have
I have
done
Form is
tried for
opening.
3 to 4, Mataji.
Form is opening for me.
Yes, for us also, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Invalid dynamic link.
It's working, Mataji.
It's showing invalid dynamic link, Mataji.
Try once again. Try once again. Reposting it.
Okay, Mataji.
Mataji, I just have, just one clarification. You
Yeah.
mentioned the 3 miseries. One is Adhyatmika, one is Adhya Bhautika, and the other one is Adhya Devika.
Adi Daivika. Huh?
Adi Devika. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Done. Yes. No other questions? Was it clear for everyone? Okay, again you want to. Yes. Okay, tomorrow what do we do? Because if I think only for the chapter 2, since it was more shlokas, it went for 3 class. Otherwise, it will be 2 class. So I was thinking maybe if you have any doubts on the first and second chapters, tomorrow we can discuss, and we can take the shlokas maybe. We can go through some shlokas, important shlokas tomorrow. And next week we can start with chapter 3. Is that fine with you all?
Yes, Mataji, that's a very nice idea.
Yeah. Okay. You all can come up with any doubts or anything. So tomorrow we will have like a session for discussion, and we can go through the chapter, the shlokas, the important shlokas we can go through. Okay. Okay, text 61. Okay, tomorrow we can take Santosh Prabhu. Or what you want to know in text? Okay, Matpara. Okay. Let me check.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, let me open that.
I've seen it in the slide.
Yeah, let's see the shloka only. Better. 2.61 na?
Yes, Mataji.
Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha. Okay. Matpara, Krishna says, in relationship with me. Those senses, one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me is known. 1 second. Let me share the screen. Right. I think Prabhupada gives their explanation. So Prabhu, you can read this. Can you read from here?
Yes, Mataji. The word Matpara is most significant in this connection. How one can become Matpara is described in the life of Maharaja Ambarisa. Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushana, a great scholar and acharya in the line of the Matpara, remarks, Mat Bhakti Prabhavena Sarvendriya Vijaya Purvika Swatma Drishti Sulabheti Bhava. The senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given. As a blazing fire burns everything within a room, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns up all kinds of impurities. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not meditation on the void. The so-called yogis who meditate on something other than the Vishnu form simply waste their time in a vain search after some phantasmagoria. We have to be Krishna conscious, devoted to the personality of Godhead. This is the aim of the real yoga.
Yeah.
Hare
So what
Krishna.
did you understand from this, Prabhu? What is Matpara? What is Krishna saying here? So basically using the senses for Krishna, right?
Yeah.
So the example was
Yeah.
given of Ambrish Maharaj.
Harish
So
Maharaj, yes.
using the Matpara means on me, unto me. Krishna is saying here, no? Matpara, Krishna is saying. So onto me. So what is that? Using of our senses in service of Lord. That is what is said. Okay.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow then. Okay. So tomorrow we can discuss any doubts is there. So let's meet tomorrow. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha krupasindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha annata koti vaishnavindya ki jai namacharya das Thakur ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can we chant 3 times Hare Krishna? Many of already left. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.